That relationship that you are craving so much, God knows about it. He knows that's what you pray about the most, about your future spouse. For Him to take care of that husband or that wife of yours. For Him to deliver you, that husband or wife. That's what you ask Him about the most. That's what you talk to Him about the most, and He knows that. He knows you're sick of being single. This loneliness, this isolation that you feel, He sees where you are. He wants you to trust Him. He wants you to know that He has you in the palm of His hand. And sometimes you lose sight of that. You get so caught up in looking at everybody else get married and have kids. You want some of that for your own. You want someone to go on late night car rides with, to watch movies with, to go on cute dates, to go to dinner with, to show off to your family, and she or he show you off to their family. Someone you can tell your coworkers about. Someone you can brag to your friends about. It's hard to lose sight of the Lord having you exactly where He wants you when you feel this isolation and loneliness. And all you crave every single day, day in, day out, is a relationship. God knows you crave that someone, that relationship, that marriage. Yes, marriage is a very biblical thing. In Genesis 2:18, God made Adam a helper, saying it wasn't good for Adam to be alone. So marriage is a very biblical thing. And it is a very, very biblical thing to desire. I want to ask you a question. Are you delighting yourself in the Lord? Are you chasing the Lord? Are you doing everything that you can? Are you becoming a slave to Jesus Christ? You're trying your best not to feed yourself these fleshly, worldly things, secular music, gossip, things you shouldn't watch, alcohol, drugs, all these worldly things. Are you trying your best to walk in the Spirit and starve your flesh? Are you truly delighting yourself in the Lord? By finding joy in following Jesus Christ, waking up every day and talking to Him first thing in the morning. The last thing you do before you fall asleep, talking to Jesus, praying. Psalm 37:4 says that if you also delight yourself in the Lord, He will bring you the desires of your heart. When you're delighting yourself in the Lord, those desires that you have, they're not going to be the desires that you had before you were a Christian, before you were a follower of Jesus Christ. By delighting yourself in Him, your mind becomes like Jesus's. So the desires that you want for yourself are the desires that He wants for you. And if you have a desire so biblical as marriage, as craving a spouse, He will bring you someone in His due and precious time. That's a promise in the Bible. Take it to the bank. So don't chase the Lord strictly for a spouse. Chase the Lord because that's the most important thing in your life. Because whenever He brings you your spouse, whenever He brings you someone, that's not going to be the most important thing in your life. And if it is, you're asking for a lot of trouble. Because you were made by God for Himself. You were made to bring glory to God Almighty. So if you're bringing glory to God, you're living for the Lord all that you can, that marriage that He brings you is an extension of that glory. That marriage that He brought you is another way for you to bring even more glory to Him. He gave us the gift of marriage. He gave us the gift of sex within the covenant of marriage. God knows that you crave that someone. I know exactly where you are. I do too. But I crave to be in the presence of Jesus Christ even more. I crave living for Him even more because living in Him, living in His presence is the best thing ever. The most fulfilling, joyful, happiness, the best emotions you can think of. That's living with Jesus in your heart. That's walking in the Spirit with Him. And whenever He brings me, whenever He brings you, your spouse, it's going to mean that much more because He's the most important thing to you. And only He can bring you the right person. You picking your person will lead to nothing but destruction. Me picking my person will lead to nothing but destruction and heartbreak. But whenever he brings his person, the person he has in mind for you, for me, then that relationship will flourish into what it needs to be. That's the marriage he has designed for you, the person he brings you. He knows that you crave someone. I know exactly where you are. Make sure you're delighting yourself in him. Make sure you're living every single day for him. And whenever he does bring you someone, that wife, that husband's going to mean so much more to you. You just do your part and let him do his. God bless.